It's done. All of the technical skills we need to get up to the higher ranks of the game have been learned. Now we can learn some more of the strategies of the game using the moves we have learned throughout the episode. Previous episodes will be linked at the top, so if you need any refresher, you can click on those. And we're going to start off this week with good old 1v1. And I just want to do a disclaimer before this video. There are many ways to play once. Even the top players all play completely differently. However, if you're looking for a little guidance, then look no further. And at the end of this strategy guide, I will give you my top 2 moves for 1v1. Now, I know what some of you will be thinking, hold on Dave, you're only Grand Champ at once. And I understand that completely, and that is why the information from this guide has been compiled from the information obtained by 4 Supersonic Legend 1v1 players. 2 of these players being former top 100 1v1 players. So a huge thank you to Noah, Dizzle, Smashy and Raid for their information going into this video. Especially to Raid, who practically wrote the script for this. Really do appreciate that help in getting this information out. Okay, so there isn't really a blueprint of what move to use. As you've probably figured out by now, the goal is to get a bunch of options and then use the one you prefer based on your technical ability, your positioning, your opponent's defensive positioning, their defensive tendencies, and both players' boost totals. To assess the opponent's tendencies early on, it's a good idea to start the game with basic attacking moves such as bounce dribble shots or flicks, and the reason for this is because 1. It's great to assess how good the opponent is at defending. 2. How do they defend and how do they play the ball? Getting these reads early on your opponent's playstyle is extremely beneficial as it gives you the information necessary to plan out your counter. For example, if the opponent tends to get heavy touches into the corner on defense, you can set yourself up to position to take the big boost pads in the corner preemptively in order to boost off and keep possession in your favor. If they like to keep the ball on saves and transition to dribbles down the middle of the pitch, you can position yourself into a shadow position nice and close to them in the middle of the pitch to increase your defensive pressure. From there, if they are able to save the basic stuff easily and turn the defense into offense, this is where you need to start mixing up your offensive plays and incorporating some aerial plays. Defensive positioning is a big factor. If your opponent is in no man's land and you can see a lot of space behind them to the goal, it's a good idea to create some sort of shot in order to exploit this space behind them, force them back and start a boost off play. Understanding the game comes with time, and once you start to see the game more, you will start to see where the options of attack are. If you go for an air dribble and see your opponent jump up to challenge you, getting an extra touch is probably ideal in order to get the ball over them. So adapting from a standard air dribble to a 2-touch aerial play or even a double touch would be ideal. If they stay grounded, then you can continue your air dribble and of course look for the bump or maybe even a flip reset. If the opponent's shadow's close on the ground, early flicks are great to establish early pressure. Essentially, if your opponent challenges early, you have to adapt your play to get the ball around them or 50 it through them. If they back off more, you can use the space they create to get closer to the net before pulling the trigger on your shot. Of course, it's very situational and it depends on many factors, as mentioned at the start of the video, because there are literally hundreds of situations. One of the biggest tips to new and even old players is to watch pro gameplay. If a pro gets scored on or they fail to score in a certain situation, see what they did and figure out why it worked or didn't work. If you want to watch pro gameplay, head over to ballchasing.com where you can literally just type in your favorite pro and then get the replay and drag it into your demos folder and watch it in-game. Grounded versus aerial. Well, we previously discussed when to mix it up, and of course, it is personal preference, but generally, ground plays such as flicks, lateral dribbles, shots, and low 50s are extremely effective, as they are amazing at establishing pressure while saving boost and keeping your positioning, because they are not all in. Now, by this I mean, if you go for an aerial play, you need it to work, and if you land on the backboard with no boost, you're all in. If it doesn't work, you will get countered. And this is why ground plays are so good. They're super safe and you can always go to a low 50 for backup, which allows you to recover infinitely faster than from a messed up aerial. Additionally, and this is a really important underestimated part of the game, it's a conditioning tool. Using ground plays over and over makes the opponent tend to be more surprised when a grounded player goes to the air and therefore expects less out of them. This increases your shot percentages. Speaking of the mind, it's a lot less tilting to miss up a ground play because you can recover, whereas if you miss an aerial play, you basically have to sit back and watch your opponent get an easy counter. With faster recovery times from grounded plays, you at least give yourself a chance to get back and make saves. Furthermore, it's easier to get consistent in since they are a lot less mechanically intensive, and consistency is the only thing separating great players from the best players nowadays. Defending. Generally in ones you want your default playstyle to be shadowing, but you should look to challenge when 1. The opponent has a scary aerial incoming when they take their time, such as a flip reset or air dribble plays. Obviously you don't want to dive in for wall shots as the ball will just go sailing by. 2. The opponent has the potential to charge up a lethal flick or ground shot and you are close enough to backflip challenge into them. 3. If you are perfectly goal side and the opponent can't see you, which allows you to make the backflip challenge. 4. If during a midfield play the opponent takes a heavy touch and the distance between them and the ball and you and the ball is equal, allowing you to get a 50. 5. If the opponent has a ball rolling on the ground, you can challenge then, as there's only one way they can go, but you can also fake here as well. 6. If the opponent cannot see you or is not likely to anticipate a challenge in an unorthodox position. This comes from the data we gathered on our opponent early in the game. So for example, if we learn they like to take a slow first touch, we would want to challenge that first touch, as they like to take it slow and are unlikely to react to you. Now obviously you can't do this all the time, as players should adapt, and once they do, that's when we mix up our challenge timing. Basically, you want to challenge just before the opponent has a chance to create a shot on target ideally, but not too early as to allow the opponent to read it and quickly outplay you. It's all about looking for small windows and opportunities where the opponent is unable to create a play on the ball. For example, if the opponent is looking to set up a flick, the 2 split seconds that are needed for the opponent to control the ball is a great time to challenge, as they aren't ready to make a proactive play. In closing, the main goal of Rocket League is to get the ball past the opponent to score into the open net ideally. That is the fundamental goal and the most ideal way to score. Therefore, focus on getting the ball around players and worry about putting it in the net after. This is why speedy players are so effective. They don't worry about scoring on the first touch. They smash the ball past you, and due to the speed they hit the ball, when it hits a sidewall or the corner, it can bounce back into the middle of the pitch for an easy goal. So always aim to get the ball past opponents. So before we end, here is the 2 moves I love more than anything else, and they are both variants of a demo. The first one: when you are in control of the ball and you see your opponent on the inside of you, roll the ball around the backboard kinda high but slowly-ish to make them go up on the back wall, and then boost in front of the ball and blow them up. You should be able to just quickly drop down, turn and put the ball in. The next one is everyone's favorite really. Smashy and Noah both said this was by far their favorite move, and it is the air dribble bump, the air dribble demo, or the 2-pop bump. All you do is you get the ball on your car, you pop it in the air, and you boost after your opponent. If you're further back, of course, get under it, give it an air dribble first to force their hand. If you do this move properly, it's pretty much impossible to stop, so definitely worth working on. And as an extra bit of bonus, it usually tilts people and they forfeit faster. Win-win. Again, a big thank you to the Supersonic Legend players for the information going into this video, and Raid for helping write this up. Additionally, thank you to the Patreons for having coaching sessions and supporting the channel. They are Mika, Dream Crusher, and Trenton. Hopefully, now with the information in this video, as well as the complete course, you can push your ones rank higher than ever before. Thank you for watching, have a nice life, look after yourself, and peace out. Peace!